Welcome to It's a Grand Life, where our mission is to be a voice for grand families and kinship caregivers everywhere. Did you know that in the United States alone, there are 2.3 million grandparents raising their grandchildren? 2.3 million. It's a Grand Life is committed to making a difference for those kids. That's why we have the podcast, a Facebook group, and the Grand Fund. The Grand Fund, which is a 501c3 which was launched in June of 2024, provides financial assistance to grand families, including shelter, food, clothing, and household needs. Grand families are in every neighborhood, in every city, every tribe, and territory nationwide. If this is you or someone you love, we're here for you, and we welcome you to join us on this mission. Our goal is to offer hope and resources to help you. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us wherever you get your podcasts and leave a review. You can also join our Facebook group. Just search for it under It's a Grand Life. And your reviews, comments, and sharing of our podcasts help us reach others that need assistance. Welcome to another episode of It's a Grand Life. Hi, my name is Craig Nash. I'd like to welcome you to another It's a Grand Life. And this is going to be what I believe is one of our most amazing podcasts ever. If you're watching this, I want to encourage you to get a cup of coffee, get a glass of water, and sit down, because our guest today, Barbara Roush from Hope Against Trafficking, has got all the data behind human trafficking as it, believe it or not, is represented in the state of Michigan, and I'm sure it's in your state, wherever you reside. But this is going to be a pivotal podcast for It's a Grand Life, and we're just so delighted to welcome our guest today, Barbara Roush, who's one of the founding members of Hope Against Trafficking, as well as a board member. Barbara, thank you so much for joining us on It's a Grand Life, and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Craig.
Can you give our audience an idea of the full extent of this trafficking problem, even in our state? Just start with that, because you just really kind of blew my mind the other day when you were reciting what's been going on in our neighborhoods.
Absolutely. Back in 2012, when I started getting involved with some friends from my church, they said, we got a problem with human trafficking in Michigan. And I said, what do you mean? Isn't that over there, overseas? Isn't that, Philippines and India and just these other places? And they said, no, it's really huge, and we got to do something about it. They had been traveling around the world and and seen it themselves, thinking the same thing. But when they came back and they started talking to some of the police and sheriff's departments and such, they found that we really had a big problem in Michigan. And I said, well, how bad is it? And we found out that it was in every zip code in the state of Michigan. And the truth is, since you've got a larger audience here, it's in every state. It is in every zip code nationally. So we have, while we've been, I guess, not even seeing the problem, our eyes haven't been opened up. This problem has quadrupled since the time I began even looking into what is going on with human trafficking in Michigan. Then we found out from another organization, All Worthy of Love, that there were 1,200 people, women, in a 3 square mile radius of Detroit. 1,200 in a 3 square mile radius of Detroit that were prostituting themselves because they were enslaved in trafficking. They were producing about 20 different Johns a night to give their traffickers all the money, and they got none. So we started hearing these stories, and we was like, holy cow, we have no idea how bad this is. And then decided that we needed to figure out, well, is there anybody doing anything about it beyond these people trying to reach them on the street? And we found that there were some people that were trying to open up their homes to safe homes because there wasn't enough places to go. But what was needed really was a long-term program. Once they got rescued, most of them are addicted. Either they were addicted going in to trafficking because now you're vulnerable because you need the next fix, and those traffickers know that. Oftentimes the drug traffickers themselves recognize that they can make more money selling women than they can selling the drugs, because they have to sell the drugs over and over and over, and a woman can just keep performing for you. So it was really a critical thing for us to find housing and homes and things like that, to a program that can help them be restored. But first they have to get through their addiction. So they come to us from an addiction management program for drug or alcohol or both, treatments facilities. So maybe 30, 60 days there, and then they can come and apply to our program. But it became a big problem, and we had to do something about it.
And that's just amazing. But that affects our grandparents raising grandkids as well, because a lot of these ladies and gentlemen on the streets, they left children behind. And are you seeing any of that as well in your research on this phenomenon?
Yes, it's a combination, Craig, of both. If you're vulnerable, you're trying to make money. Recall the Julia Roberts movie where they glamorized prostitution. It's a way to make money, and that's what I thought people did, just because it was their career, so to speak. And in 99% of the cases, it's the exact opposite. Desperate people do desperate things, and they get into it to maybe make a little bit, but then these people are out there targeting people on the street. So they literally roll down their window and say, "Hey, do you need some food, or do you need a safe place to stay tonight?" Runaways are kind of like that. And then the drug addicted are looking for the next fix, so they'll do anything. So, oh, well, if you just do this, I'll give you a place to stay. If you just do that, and before you know it, you've been lured right into their trap. So they're very vulnerable. But from a children perspective, oftentimes then the perpetrators are getting the women pregnant in order to keep them there.
Really?
Because a woman, won't leave their children. And so, yes, there are situations where somebody was addicted and had children at home, and then got caught up. There's also the opposite, and probably in more cases, that once they're lured into trafficking, then if they get pregnant, they'll either allow one to be born, potentially two, but oftentimes they just keep on forcing abortion on you. Over and over and over, and you don't have a choice in the matter. So so it's a combination. They don't want to have to spend money on all the kids and the time, etc., but they want to control the person that is under them. They typically have 5 or 6. So if you can imagine that household, what that looks like.
I mean, just so they could have 5 or 6 ladies, and they could each have 1 or 2 kids. And it's like one of the busiest daycares you could imagine. And
Yeah.
and once they're stuck, they're stuck.
Once they're stuck, they're stuck. And the reason why they're stuck is because part of the control and the manipulation is the threats. The traffickers know everything about you. They're unbelievably more advanced than our police are in terms of computers, software, programs, things that can get information about you, the dark web, etc. They are so far ahead, and they will find information out about you. And as a matter of fact, that's how kids are lured today. You have a 12-year-old granddaughter, and anybody that's online today, and our kids are really the most susceptible to this. They are getting lured by people that aren't even who they say they are, but they appear to be a potential boyfriend, a friend that then becomes a quote unquote boyfriend, right? And in the interest of trying to look for love in all the wrong places, because something happened in their life to challenge them, right? The adverse childhood experiences that our kids have. Over half of kids have that today.
Right.
So in the interest of looking for love, they don't understand that who's behind the curtain there, and that there is usually somebody behind the curtain. And I could tell you many, many, many stories along that line. But the average age that people are targeted is 12.
That's just a mind-blowing statistic right there. And that the average age is 12. And That's too close to home. That's one statistic you gave us last week when we were talking, Barbara Roush, was that 1 in 4, tell me if I'm wrong, 1 in 4 young people is a victim of sexual abuse.
Yeah. So basically, when we talked about those adverse childhood experiences, like even when they surveyed the adults in Michigan, 61% reported that they had at least one adverse childhood experience. It could be a sex act against them, beating them up, anything like that. And in today's world, it's now they have 3 or more ACE factors. It's crazy how much more abuse, but by the time they're 18, these kids are going to have some form of sexual abuse put upon them, usually in a boyfriend girlfriend relationship, but it does happen in the home. We have 1 out of every 8 children are being abused in their home today.
1 out of every 8.
1 out of every 8. And that statistic is continuously moving up. Like I said, it'll be 1 in 4 sexual abuse by the time that they are 18. So it's a lot of it about how do I know what to do in a dating relationship, what is safe and what is unsafe. How do I know what a safe adult is? How do I know I'm safe online, right? There's many things that our children need to be taught that aren't being taught in school, aren't being taught by parents, even grandparents, because we don't know how to in today's world. We talked about stranger danger, and stranger danger in the old days was, oh, just be careful for that car driving up to you and luring you by candy or, some giving you a gift or something like that, because they're there to nab you and take you in the car. And that does still happen today. However, the majority of our kids are getting lured online for that, like I said, that boyfriend, girlfriend lure. Sometimes it's a talent, like, oh, you want to, be a model, do you want to be an actress, a singer, whatever. They lure you by what our kids long for, and those are the things that they're being told are exciting and important in life, and it's just not the truth. Unfortunately, they're not being taught that, so it's they're vulnerable.
They're totally vulnerable, and it's like I know as a grandparent raising a granddaughter, we're kind of clueless because we thought we were all done with the child rearing, and now we're raising kids in a very different world, and it is extremely sobering. And I think one of the stats you gave me last time, that 76% of the abuse are from a parent or a guardian. There's a trusted relationship.
Absolutely. 76% of children that are abused. So again, back to that stat, we're average of 1 in 8. They're going to be victimized by a parent or a guardian. I'll just give you a couple examples. There's a grandfather watching the granddaughter in the afternoons, and instead of watching the granddaughter, he was selling the granddaughter to make money for himself. He was trafficking her. But children who experience that sexual abuse coming in out of the home are 28 times more likely to be arrested as part of human trafficking related prostitution, when they get older, than those that didn't. So they're more vulnerable. And a lot of it has to do with, again, like I said, looking for the love in all the wrong places. They didn't get that need met when they were young. And it's really critical to, when you're treating your grandchildren with respect, give them choices. You're setting boundaries. You're not doing it out of anger. You're doing it out of love. I love you, and because I love you, I have to share this and whatever. Those are the things you have to be teaching your child with love, so that they get the love that they need, that they lost by not having the parental relationship. And they're always, they look at their friends who have parents, and I don't have a parent, or an active parent in my life, or whatever. And there's just those feelings that are never going to go away. and they have to be filled somehow, some way.
And there's a total need for that. I've seen that in our own situation, and respect and boundaries, and yet they still are normal preteens. You know, they want to push back on everything, and that's very normal. But if you're speaking to our audience today, grandparents who are raising their grandkids, and Barbara Roush, we are tired some days. We get home from a normal day's activity. We're not 30 or 40 anymore. And what would you say to us as far as, hey, you know, you've got to be aware of this. You've got to, you know, this is, you got to watch the online presence. You got to watch,
Yes.
being concerned with every relative that is with your grandchild. And, you know, and you add where you feel led there. I mean, it's just, it's a very serious, you got to suspect everybody, don't you?
You have to be aware, and I mean, it's everybody. I'll tell you the story about the local single father whose daughter was a friend of a gal, and the gal got invited over to this friend's house for a sleepover. And what she didn't know was that the father was trafficking the daughter, and the daughter brought the friend over, and the friend was then trafficked. What they do is they, again, use manipulation to say, I know your parents, if you say something, I'm going to kill them. And a child will do anything to protect their parent, no matter how good or bad the parent is. It's a form of manipulation like no other, with young children that have not been taught, you know, what, you know, the evil world is today versus the good world, right? You have to, what is a safe adult? What is an unsafe adult? What is, you know, a safe adult doesn't keep secrets. A safe adult doesn't manipulate and control and threaten you with killing somebody, right? That's not a safe adult. So, see, what do you do if you're, you know, around somebody in that situation and you've gotten lured into it? Well, that's another story about how to get out of it and such. But for the grandparent, you need to know who the people are so you can know the children, but you have to know the parents that you're sending your child into or your grandchild into their care. And how would you know that? It's not like you're going to understand that this person was a trafficker. They're very good at hiding things, but maybe it's not safe for your children to have sleepovers somewhere else. Maybe, you know, it's got to be multiple parents, like, you know, maybe it's the other way around. You have the sleepover at your house instead. So it's okay to say no. It is not a bad thing to say no when you, in your heart of hearts, know that you don't know this person, you don't know the situation yet. It is not always safe. You really do need to know the parents. If there's only a single parent, that's another reason, right? There's multiple things that could have gone on with that person. And have you done a check of the sex registry to make sure that this individual's not on it? You know, there are ways to check some things, but you can't be perfect. You just need to start, you know, engaging with the parents in a little more thoughtful way, and checking some things out before you allow the child to do an overnight. Another thing is social media too. You gotta really intercede. Parents have allowed children. It has become a babysitter, right? The internet is a babysitter, and because you're allowing free reign to the children in terms of they can do anything, it's their entertainment, quote unquote. The problem is as we keep talking about, there's so many lures, and you know, for boys, I'll just tell you this too. There is so much sexual material coming across, child sexual abuse material coming across online, and kids are curious. Sometimes they're just playing, and all of a sudden they click, but they're not trying to click on that thing, and all of a sudden it's clicked, and now they're seeing things that you really can't erase out of your brain. And then you it keeps coming at you faster and faster because you clicked on the once, and now they're going to keep throwing things at you, and it just keeps coming. So sometimes it's not the program you're watching, it's the things that are popping up while you're watching it.
That's
and
amazing.
then
Yeah.
right, and so you got to really be careful what restrictions you have. And what we're hearing from the police and sheriff's department is that you need to basically control when they can look at the internet, time box it, and never allow them to use it in bathrooms and bedrooms by themselves, because that's when they're taking pictures of themselves to send to the quote unquote boyfriend or girlfriend. And before you know it, the adult that's behind the curtain is starting to make threats that then this child will again protect the grandparents, protect the parents, and you have to make those decisions as a parental figure to control that in a thoughtful way, to stay on top of it, to look at their social media, to see what they're saying to one another. There's ways to link together so that you can actually know where they're at. And I know everybody says, "Oh, well, they need a phone to stay safe." No, they don't need a phone with the full internet to stay safe. There's phones that you can give them that don't allow all that stuff, that are much safer.
But you said a lot there. You said that, number one, you got to know who the parents are, and
Yep.
you got to evaluate this whole sleepover business. There's a big push to have sleepovers, and that all I found in 50 years of being around kids is that you get tired kids the next day if you give them a sleepover. I know they're fun, but is it safe? Is it a safe environment? You got to watch the social media. You have to check this sexual registry on these parents and folks that the kids are hanging out with. Grandma and Grandpa, I know you're not used to that, but this is very important. You got to know the parents of the kids that your grands are hanging out with. And the internet is their babysitter. Lord have mercy, but they can't do it in the bathroom or the bedroom. So it's got to be in the general area of the house if they're on the internet, because we don't want any funny behavior. But you made such a good point that I've never thought of. Once they make the bad decision and look on something, the predator knows what to say to your grandchild to get them to protect the grandparents. If you don't do A, B, and C, we're going to go after the grandparents, and the kids love us because we're all they have right now.
Yes.
This is so sobering, Barbara.
Yes. Well, let me just give you a statistic that will just totally blow your mind. There's an estimated 500,000 predators online every day. 500,000 actively looking online at social media every day, targeting our children. Okay? Now, children and these predators in combination, because children are sending pictures, but the predators are taking pictures and putting them online as well. But there's probably close to 40 million reports of suspected child sexual exploitation materials online every day. So digital grooming is impossible to ignore. These images are out there, and basically when your kids are sending images of themselves with all sorts of technology and all that, I mentioned that they're ahead of everybody else on technology. All of our police and all that, they have invested a lot of money into knowing and understanding how to use technology to do this illegal activity, and so the child sexual material is out there, and then because of the internet, the demand is high, and that's why this has quadrupled in 20 years, or actually that's 13 years. It's quadrupled. Why? Because mostly men, but I was going to say men and women are becoming sexually addicted online. Just like our kids are now becoming addicted to pornography earlier, eventually you will act out what you're seeing online. And whether it be static pictures or then you move into the movies and the films and things like that that are out there with this terrible, stuff, then they're acting out. And so now you need a market. You need our children are the victims that are being used for people who are acting out their sexual addictions by buying prostitutes. So 99% of those prostitutes are enslaved. There are children being used to serve the sexual addiction. And so if you see and understand that problem, and then you kind of look at, well, what do we do? How do we stop this trend? Well, there's many different aspects of that problem, but really, we've got to step up and first open our eyes to see what is there and why it is such a threat to our children today.
So this has just been amazing, and so I just want to make sure that our audience gets it. What if you could put the cookies on the lower shelf for our grandparents who are raising their grandkids? In summary, Barbara Roush, what would you say?
I would say that you have to take the time to know and understand what environment your grandchildren are in right now. Who are they hanging out with? If they go out to an overnight, you're not sending them to one child alone and you don't know the parents. If you do anything, it's with a group, and it would be best if you did it at your own home to kind of control it, because there's multiples of you there. You have to watch what they're doing online and find ways where we actually have some partnerships that are coming forward to help our parents and grandparents know how to keep the kids safe online. We've got Family Shield, it's called, but it'll allow you to control that phone that has the internet on it and control any apps that they're wanting to get into, like Roblox and other things, which are very, very dangerous. Those applications are very desirable for kids to be on because everybody's on it, but what's on it is very evil. There's a lot of stuff on there that you don't want your kids seeing. So you have to become knowledgeable about what's going on around, and then you got to look for signs that if your grandchild is being trafficked out of your own home, meaning that they're being manipulated to go do things, you'll start to see it in things like your grades will start being impacted, sleepless nights, like a lot of times they're sneaking away in the middle of the night, while you're sleeping, they're being taken places. That's happened many, many times. There's you have to be aware, and you have to keep that conversation open with the grandchildren so that they are able to tell you when something's happening. You have to be that safe adult that they go to, that they will tell you anything. We always say, no blame, no shame. You can't make them feel bad to come to you or blame them for doing this or that. You have to listen and support them in finding ways out of whatever they're involved with in a kind, loving manner. But if you're going to blame them and shame them and all that because they got into something that they shouldn't have, they're not going to tell you the next time.
It doesn't work. It never has. Blaming and shaming.
No.
Our guest today on It's a Grand Life has been Barbara Roush, and Lord willing, hopefully she will join us many times. And especially with this new information regarding the Family Shield, we want to hear all about it. But if you're interested in more information on Hope Against Trafficking, and I hope you will support this organization. They are doing amazing work right here in Southeast Michigan and making a huge impact for the men and women who are being abused. And it's not just the ladies anymore, but it's absolutely terrific. I mean, horrific where we are. It's just
top 5 in the country.
We're top 5 in the country?
We're top 5 in the country in Michigan. Yep.
Wow. I never would have guessed that. But hopefully you'll come back again and keep us updated on what's happening in the trafficking arena. And I love what you've said to grand families, and very interested to find out about this Family Shield program. But Barbara, thank you so much for joining us here on It's a Grand Life, and can't wait to have you back again.
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you for joining us today for It's a Grand Life. It's a Grand Life provides vital content, regulatory updates, and subject matter experts that are committed to supporting the 2.4 million kids and their caregivers from every neighborhood, every city, every tribe and territory nationwide. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts and leave a review. Every new subscriber and review helps us reach others that need assistance. As caregivers, we are united in purpose. We are driven by hope while providing strength for today and hope for tomorrow. We are truly making a difference while living the grand life. If you have a suggestion for a future episode, please reach out to us. But we'll see you next time for another It's a Grand Life. Thank you for joining us.